like knowing that, like, all right, at the end of the year, maybe I'll stay, but maybe I won't. And that choice isn't always mine. But that choice can be producers or casting. So it kind of forces you to keep looking and keep exploring throughout your time. Every actor I know is still auditioning for other things. So you're always kind of stretching and, trying out new opportunities, even while you have steady work.
Does that apply to you and the producers of Wicked? They are okay with that people are doing this?
Yeah, no, it's definitely just like an accepted part of the industry. We're actually encouraged to be doing other projects, doing workshops for other shows. We've got a lot of actors who go on what's called a leave of absence, which means that they take a break from Wicked and will go do a show somewhere else. So, last year, for example, our Wizard took a leave to go do Schmigadoon out of town. He did a production of it, and then with Ray, I think it's happens to come back kind of refreshed, and you've got new things in your brain, and it hones your craft and sharpens it back in a way. So not everybody's able to do that, and it depends on like contract and what if there's someone who's available to cover for you while you're away, all of those things. But there's always that possibility of like, go try and do something else. And what's great about, he did Schmigadoon out of town, and now Schmigadoon's coming to Broadway. So, the possibility of him getting to do another Broadway show is now available. So it's definitely just kind of a common part of Broadway that everyone's auditioning
Their Wizard
all the
did
time. It doesn't
Schmigadoon
mean
out
you
of
can
town.
take the offers.
Went to enough school.
If a show gives you an
You wouldn't know
offer
the
and
Wizard.
the contracts don't work out, that you can't leave the show you're in, then too bad. You have to stay where you are. It's definitely like you're auditioning, you're always, people will.
Got it. So this is the thing. I'll ask this question. Would be next for you? What would you be looking for or thinking about?
I'm really interested in doing more film and TV. I've only done a little bit so far, and I just really enjoyed, it's a different approach to acting, and I really enjoyed getting to stretch a different muscle and try to learn something new. So I'm really eager to hopefully. There's something about Shakespeare that just, you feel like you are part of something bigger when you perform Shakespeare, and you feel connected to your ancestors and to the history of this craft in a way that you don't feel in much other work. So the fact that it is survived and is still being performed so regularly is fascinating. And Shakespeare's also fun because it's hard to mess up in a way. It's so well written and so well conceived that if you trust work and you trust your directors, you can make something beautiful even out of nothing. I've seen great Shakespeare performed in a parking lot. I've seen great Shakespeare performed in the middle of the woods. And you can't say that for a lot of their plays.
That's the noted thespian Jenna Bainbridge. The Colorado native is appearing on Broadway in Wicked, but she cut her artistic teeth at Family, the theater company for artists with disabilities. When we come back, how the work she did there launched her career and exacerbated frustrations with the casting process. This is Colorado Matters from CPR News.
Hello.
The largest source of support for Colorado Public Radio comes from members across our state.
I'm from Denver.
Glenwood Springs.
Ranch.
With your donation.
Conclusion of my conversation with Bainbridge, the Colorado actress appearing on Broadway in Wicked. Family, the impact of family on not only on your career, but on your life. You were what, 12 when you initially went there?
Yes. The impact of family cannot be understated for me. My first dance teacher when I was 4 years old was Debbie Stark, who was the choreographer at Family. So I danced with her for years before I ever worked at Family. And, I wanted to be a ballerina so badly when I was a little girl, and I used to walk her at the time. And my mother called every dance studio in a 20-mile radius and said, my daughter is partially paralyzed, she uses a walker, and she wants to be a ballerina. Will you teach her how to dance? And every studio said no until she called Debbie Stark. So Debbie was one of my first arts teachers. She taught me to dance before I took a voice lesson, before I'd taken a choir class, before I'd ever thought about acting, I was dancing. So the impact of Debbie was astronomical. It showed me a world that it showed me a place for myself in the arts. And then going to family at 12 years old, that was the first time I'd met disabled adults and saw myself represented. I'd never seen a disabled person on stage or in a movie even. I didn't know a lot of disabled people. So when you don't know disabled people, when you don't see yourself and your own stories being told, it's hard to imagine a future. So being at family taught me how to accommodate for myself, taught me how to have community, taught me how to, manage my disability in an incredibly difficult industry. And those were invaluable lessons, just from a human perspective. Not to mention, I got pretty much all of my acting training at family. It was hands-on, it was immediate. That was where I learned how to memorize lines and where I learned how to emote and learned how to execute choreography properly. Like, these were all things that as a kid at family. And then being at family also showed me the Denver Center Theater Company, where I took most of my acting classes. It was all so.
The term partially paralyzed, I realize we haven't really talked about this at all.
Mm-hmm.
When you were, a year and a half old?
Yes.
There was an accident in your home?
Yes. So when I was 16 months old, I tripped and fell in my living room, as, toddlers do every single day.